call the meeting to order. Any items from the public?
Tracy. I didn't mean to wake you up. Did you
No, I figured it was second on the list, not first.
That's all right. I figured out why he was going to be here.
Good morning. I want to introduce to you Elizabeth Lapchak, the new grant administrator in our office. I'll let her introduce herself a little bit.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Lapchak. I am originally from Pennsylvania. I moved here to Berkeley County for work. Decided I liked it so much, so I bought a house here. I've been here for about 4 years, and I just love it. And I'm just so very excited to work for Berkeley County and citizens.
What part of Pennsylvania did you move from, Elizabeth?
Central,
Okay.
like York.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's good to have you on board, as I told you this morning. And it's great that you like Berkeley County or love Berkeley County enough to make this your residence and work for the county government. So it's Tracy and April does wonderful things for the county. And as I told you this morning, we're a great team throughout the whole government and looking forward to building bigger and better things. Anybody else? All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. President, I move we approve the agenda for Thursday, February the 24th, if there's no modifications or changes.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, any questions on the purchase order? Okay. No internal budget revisions, so we'll go right on to change in status. We have a new hire recommendation received from Tim Zaya, Director of Community Corrections, for Michael Marcianini. Jim would probably know how to say it.
Good Italian name.
Yeah,
Paisan.
as a part-time driver with an hourly rate of $15.50 effective March 1st, 2022. Change in status received from Alan Davis, County Administrator, for Julie Wright. She is being reclassified as Administrative Assistant 2 with a salary increase from $37,076 to $40,784 effective February 21st, 2022. Letter of resignation received from the Assessor's Office for Gwen Campbell, effective February 9th, 2022. Any questions on the change in status? We have minutes for February 8th, 2022. Everyone was present for board and review and equalization. Any changes or corrections on those? County Council calendars. Let's see. We'll be here. Get these glasses on for you or something. We'll be here on March the 3rd in the chamber at 9:30 a.m. On boards and commissions, we have the library board at 5 p.m. Ambulance Authority at 5 p.m. tonight. On Monday, the 28th, we have 4 p.m. Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority, 4 p.m. Health Board, 5 p.m. Water District, 6 p.m. Airport Authority. On Tuesday the 1st, 5 p.m. Sewer District, 6 p.m. Stormwater District. Wednesday the 2nd, 4 p.m. Telemon. Any changes or corrections on boards and commissions? We have a bond reduction, lot number 18, J.D. Rockefeller Science Tech Center, grading, BCP, file number 2201-021, tied to number 2201-020-2103-038 and 2012-379, bond number 0783639. Engineering Department has made that recommendation.
think they could add a couple more numbers in there.
I'll try my best, Dan. Any questions on that?
But
Yeah. Canceled check request from the county clerk's finance office. Any questions on that?
we really should.
I think you need to pull that and vote on it, because I'd like to keep myself.
That should be voted on separately. Mr. President.
It wasn't my fault.
All right.
What did you do?
I didn't, they lost it, and then they found it, and then it expired.
All right, well, we'll hold that out. So, all right, so let's entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
That's not gonna happen anymore, really.
So moved.
No, it isn't. I've been relegated to direct deposit.
You finally saw the light.
No, I didn't see the light. I was led to the light.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second on the consent agenda. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Now let's take a vote on the canceled check request from finance that pertains to Mr. Barnhart. No, he could vote on the consent agenda.
Move to approve the canceled check.
So we have a motion on that and a second. Any discussion?
For clarification, the canceled check is my paycheck from October that expired due to, I didn't get it.
It took him 5 months to figure out that he didn't get it.
I have no idea. I didn't even keep track of that.
All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I like to confuse myself
There you
on the
go.
vote because it's my check.
All right. All right, Mr. Hess, you have some activity. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, we don't have much this week, but we got 3 personal property exonerations we had to correct, and for the reasons that's listed there, but the total of all 3 is only $106.30.
Except the office error personal property tax in the amount of $106.34.
Have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Good.
Thank you. All right, let's do board and meeting reports. I'll be right back. I'm gonna give you another pair of glasses.
Mr. Barnhart.
I had new meetings this week.
Mr. Delia.
Well, one of my meetings was canceled yesterday due to lack of quorum, the CVB meeting. Don't have a rescheduled date for it. Did the senior services, had the results of the audit. Everything went well with the results of the audit. Other than that, it was just basically going over monthly financials and those type of things, going over the basics, and had a short executive session. That was about it for that meeting. Let's see what else I had. Guess we had the workshop, had the Main Street Martinsburg meeting on Monday where we talked about the events. Apparently they have the St. Patrick's Day event coming up. They're going to have, I think they said 14 food trucks in attendance again. The city decided to support the pay for the, or have the police on hand to support the security for the event. We have the Wine Fest coming up.
Is that held down at the Roundhouse this year?
No, it's held at Louisville.
Boydville, okay.
Yeah, it's still gonna be on the lawn of Louisville. Just because of the legislature changed the laws to allow outside vineyards to come into Berkeley County. The problem is that when they changed the laws, they still made it
for them to come in for a one-day event, they gotta go get fingerprinting, they gotta go get all of the things that you would have to do if you applied for a restaurant license, those type of things. So the criteria for that, has went back to our legislators and asked them, this is still not going to happen. You're not gonna have, the cost.
Somebody come in for one day.
Yeah, the cost is still probably $150 for them to get the licensing, which I don't think is as big an issue as all the requirements. The problem is the fingerprint. I mean, if you're getting, just say you're getting someplace from Loudoun County, I think the closest 3 places to fingerprint there's one here in Berkeley County, but the other one is like Chantilly and the other one is Richmond or something.
In Ashburn.
Yeah.
That's the place I was, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
It makes it prohibitive.
yeah, it's not gonna happen, so.
It would probably be okay if they would say, okay, it's for the season. Any event that they want to partake in, like Main Street or something, it should
Well,
be,
if it was a one-time thing that you could do it and you never had to do it again.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing if you apply for your license.
Right.
The way that it reads is every time you want to do a weekend event for a tasting, you have to go do it, and that's crazy. You shouldn't have to go through those hoops. So anyway, that's being, my understanding, that's being worked on. But with the result of that, the Main Street Martinsburg decided to do their wine tent again. So what they did, or what we did a couple of years ago when we had it, is we actually purchased wine and from different areas, and then we had a tent where we did tastings, and I say wine, we used higher end wine. So like we didn't purchase any of the West Virginia wines. We let the West Virginia vineyards produce their own, bring their own product and sell their own product. But we did a higher price point wine. So I think our bottles started at $25 a bottle, and they were, Cab Sauv, just higher end wines than what are generally sold in vineyards in West Virginia. So we weren't competing with. We were just making sure that there was another product, because what happens is most of the wines in West Virginia are sweet wines, and a lot of people don't like sweet wines. We have 3 really good bands set up to play. We're only doing it one day. It's going to be on a Saturday instead of a Saturday and Sunday. So we've extended the hours a little bit on Saturday.
When's that?
Huh?
When is the?
It's the Saturday before Memorial Day.
Mr. Whitaker?
no meetings.
Mr. Gokenai?
Yes, I had a planning commission meeting, which was, I think, the shortest meeting on record.
You had a busy day Tuesday, didn't you?
We did. We did. There was only one public hearing, and it was in reference to Butler Crossing. They're moving on with that project, so really the public hearing amounted to the lot lines in the parking lot so that they are defined by deed and not a shared lot. Which, okay. And then I kind of got in the middle of the sewer district meeting enough to be able to catch some of the reports from staff, just giving different reports on what their activities are. But those projects, to my understanding, that I had spoke about are still on hold. They're not moving at all. The pump station there in Jarrettstown is still waiting on. It's a labor issue. They don't have the people to actually do the work yet because that crew walked off for other interests. And the stormwater meeting, Mr. Lewis was on the phone, and hopefully today or tomorrow we will have a copy of the draft ordinance of the stormwater bill.
He emailed me, said by the end of next week.
Next week. That's not what he told us Tuesday evening. So.
I'm sorry, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay. I did have a Zoom meeting with the Berkeley 250 committee, and the sponsorships aren't quite where we want them to be, but it is moving forward, and a lot of good things are going to happen here this year. So.
Good. Just to clarify, my wife bought a tri-pack of glasses, and I took it upon myself that they would all be 1.25 magnification, and that pair is 2.5. So I guess it was a variety pack in case your eyes got worse. No wonder I couldn't see.
Well, it depends on the size of the print.
Well, I couldn't. Well, but I couldn't see what the magnification was because I had to take my glasses off to see it.
Yeah,
So
there you go. Kind of dumb, isn't it?
thank God I put an extra pair of glasses in my desk. I had no meetings to report on, to be honest with you. So just busy doing routine stuff here.
Well, I'm sure that is not your wife's fault.
No, never. No, and
You should have known that.
that's exactly right. I should have, and I'm very grateful for her to even do that
That's right.
for me. So, but anyway,
Yeah, but anyway.
moving on. So, all right. Board and commission vacancies, any activity there? We have a couple people we can bring in for interviews. We have James Moffett for the Ambulance Authority. Todd Alter has applied for the Building Code Board of Appeals. So I think we need to get them in. I'd like to at least have Todd in it ASAP.
I did talk to an individual, said that he was, spoke to you about it and planned to get his application in
Yes,
today, actually.
last night I probably talked to him.
And on that, is my understanding that appeal has been rescinded.
They're thinking they're working through it, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, but anyway, I think the group that has filed the appeal will understand that they have things to do.
I did receive an email for a interested party for the airport authority. It'll be on the read ahead next week.
Okay.
And would it be appropriate at this time to make the appointment of David Michael to the Landmarks?
Sure.
Okay. I'd like to recommend David Michael fill the vacancy on Landmarks Commission.
All right, we have a
Second.
motion on the floor, we have a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Any other activity? All right, so I guess we'll take a break until 10:15 then. You don't have anything, Mr. Davis, right?
No, sir, I just want to, as we're well ahead of this council, this board is well ahead of the other counties as far as next year's budget goes. And I think Mr. Hess alluded to that a little bit, that a lot of the counties haven't
Haven't started.
even started. And if everything goes as planned, we'll have the levy document prepared and presented to you next Thursday for your consideration. And this is actually my 16th budget with the county, and just want to commend this council on how well you worked together on this budget. I think this has been one of the smoother processes that we've been through. As far as setting revenues and going through expenditures, and just was probably in Council President Copenhagen asked me if I was happy with the budget today. I can honestly say this is probably one of the better budgets that I think you've put together. Everyone's needs are being met, including the outside agencies. All the internal budgets, the electeds, and the department heads, I think have been more than fair with, and as I went through the list again last night, I think it's going to anyone would be hard pressed to state that they weren't being treated fairly. Because I think, I think you've just done a really good job, and I know you know that, but I think that needed to be said for the record that this council truly put together a budget that has the community in mind, and it doesn't matter whether it's human services or public safety or whatever. I think everyone's needs will be met through this budget.
Well spoken. I mean, it's always tough to do the balancing act to try to keep everybody that you have, because we have wonderful employees and wonderful elected officials and department heads, to try to keep that balance and also make sure that the taxpayers understand that we're taking them into consideration as well. So,
And I think your department heads and elected should be commended also.
absolutely.
They make the job easier by not, we've had years in the past where we've had some pretty outlandish requests. And for the most part, that was not the case this year. A reasonable request from particularly the internal users certainly makes the job easier.
Yeah.
Well, it's good when everybody's working together. Everybody understands the goal and what's trying to be achieved here, and everybody works toward the same goal.
Just hand that paperwork through so I can make sure I get the proclamation signed before we get,
You want me to sign it first?
please.
That's all. I just wanted to go on record.
All right. Thank you. All right, let's take a break. Good morning, everyone. Once again, I'll say good morning to everyone because there's very seldom anybody in here. So, next on our agenda is Mike Lang, Chief Court Marshal, recognition of a retiring Deputy Court Marshal.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for your time this morning. We're here today, and I'm going to say acknowledge that Sergeant Calvin Blythe's retiring. I'm not going to say celebrate because I'm not very happy. Personally, I'm very happy for Calvin. He's retiring, but professionally, I'm not.
I think in order for it to be official, Mike, we have to accept his retirement, right?
We can make that rule. If
Calvin, I'm
Now,
sorry,
hold on a
but-
minute. They got the guns. We don't.
I see the people good.
Yeah, but we've all probably been tased once before.
But, professionally, I'm not very happy. You don't replace a guy with Calvin's caliber. You have many conversations with your coworkers, and you wonder if they're really listening to what you're saying. One day we had a conversation. He's talking about that 80 rule when you retire. I said, Calvin, that don't really apply. I said, when was you hired? He told me a date. I said, how old are you? He told me. I said, you can go now. He said, what? I said,
See, Mike, you messed up.
I did. I didn't think they listened to me, sir.
I would have said, you got 10 more years, Calvin.
For once, they listened to me. And I think about 10 seconds later, he was calling retirement board. Right? But it's been a pleasure having Calvin. I'm a firm believer in everybody you meet, they leave you with a little bit of something. And Calvin left me with perseverance and true grit. Calvin faced a very serious health condition. He faced it like a bull faces a matador. He put his head down and feet down, and he faced it head on. And he left me with that. And you never knew it. He just dug in and dug deeper and worked harder. And for that, I applaud you for that, brother. There's some days I said, Calvin, you need to go home. Don't come back tomorrow. We did that once or twice. But you don't replace a person of Calvin's caliber and professionalism. Calvin is a can-do and will-do guy. He's done many things for myself, elected officials, everybody in the building. I call him Geek Squad. He's the guy when something electronic breaks, everybody in the building calls him and they fix it real quick. With the COVID situation really put us at a disadvantage over there with the social distancing. Sometimes on juries, we was having 2 or 3 different spots. And somehow they made these televisions talk to each other and everybody could see everything. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. But I know I'm going to miss Calvin. We did get him come back part-time for us, so he's going to double dip on us. I don't know who taught him that trick. It wasn't me. But you don't replace him.
We'll take Calvin any way we can get him, right?
You don't replace a guy with Calvin. His wife and daughter is here today with us. Miss Virginia Signs back there with us today. She come over to be with Calvin. So Calvin, we got a little presentation to make for you this morning. Ed, if you would. Calvin, on behalf of all the Judicial Center, we present you this wooden retirement star for your years of service and your dedication to Berkeley County. It pains me to give you that, but I'm happy for you. I told you this week I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you in a couple of days. But
Because he's afraid he's going to cry, that's why.
No, I can't replace. Calvin, come on up safe.
Hey, Mike, you want to do this one?
Okay.
Well, I think it would be.
Tell we have a no. We have from the officer of the governor of the state of West Virginia. State of West Virginia, Officer of Chief Executive. Greetings be known that Sergeant Calvin Blythe is hereby awarded the Certificate of Appreciation for his years of dedication and outstanding service rendered to the United States of America and the citizens of the great state of West Virginia. Signed by our Governor Jim Justice. That brought me to another point that I forgot to mention. Calvin's a 20-year veteran of the U.S. Army. We appreciate that service too.
So what are you going into, Calvin?
3 retirements now?
This is my second.
Well, Calvin, you know my feelings about you.
Yes, sir.
Got a little proclamation to read here for the council. And I know I can't read it the way you do, but I'm gonna try my best. Proclamation, Sir Calvin Blight. Whereas Sir Calvin Blight began employment with Berkeley County Council on April the 20th, 2015 as Deputy Court Marshal, and whereas Sir Calvin Blight was promoted from Deputy Court Marshal to Sergeant on January 15, 2019, and whereas Sir Calvin Blight has served and protected the Berkeley County Judicial Center, dignitaries, employees, citizens, and that entered the doors of the premises, and whereas Sir Calvin Blight has chosen to retire on March 1st, 2022, I think it said 2023, the Berkeley County Council would like to thank him for his dedication and service to Berkeley County and its citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Berkeley County Council wishes the best to Sir Calvin Blight upon his retirement and much future happiness, adopted this 24th day of February 2022.
Wow. I'm gonna be short because I don't like to talk. My journey as a deputy marshal began in 2015. I was still in the military and I visited the Judicial Center on a regular basis. And I was still in uniform. I wanted to be part of this team. I submitted my resume, even gave a copy to Mr. Davis. I remember bugging him all the time I came up in Mr. Davis' office, almost every day,
Yes,
in
you did.
uniform. Telling him, I think he called, y'all need to hire this guy, get him out of here. Mr. Davis, thank you for putting up with me.
Yes, sir.
Once I became a member of an elite team of professionals, out of one uniform into another. Morale is very high with the deputy marshal, and we came a long way. Mike came on board and made some positive changes. And he implemented something called the roving. So we started roving inside and outside the building. Mike started deputy marshals to rove, and we relieved other deputy marshals. And we served as a deterrent, making our presence known, and we were visible. One time I was roving, and I went downstairs to check on probation. I saw a baggie sitting on the step. That baggie was full of heroin, 10 bags of heroin. Because we rove, we found that heroin. Officer Reed found needles, drugs. We rove. Number one, we stopped stuff in the parking lot. When they see us, oh, there's my deputy marshal. Mike, good job with the roving. It works. Honorable mentions to all my deputy marshals. Air Force, thank you. Steve, Philadelphia, my Philadelphia brother, thank you. Schaefer, I got something later for you. You're my partner, thank you. Alan, thank you. Tammy Tam, one of my training officers, thank you. Ernie Reed, thanks for putting up with me. You're all professionals, and I enjoy working with you all. Thank you, and thank you again. To my first supervisors, Colleen and Josh. Josh, where you at? Thank you for putting up with me. But guess what? I never called off. In my 6 years of working, I never called, said I'm not coming in. I like that. Honorable mentions to all the magistrates past and present, to all the judges past and present, to probation and the prosecutor, thank you. Miss Virginia, thank you. To the city, state, and county police, thank you. To Tammy and Becky and Phil Gardner, my training officers, thank you for showing me the ropes, and thanks for giving me sound advice. Tammy, thank you. Becky, thank you. Phil, thank you. He's a Marine. I got stories to tell about Phil, but I'm gonna leave it alone. That was a nice partner. Phil was a piece of work. To my partner, Schaefer. Thanks for putting up with me. I'm a grouch. And I know I'm a grouch. But you put up with me. We made one hell of a team. Thank you, partner. To my judge, Judge Faircloth, thanks for allowing your security force to do what we had to do to maintain order in the courtroom. Judge Faircloth, I thank you. To Penny. Penny, I was in intensive care and some paperwork needed to be done. I called you, you said, Calvin, you focus on getting better. I get the paperwork when I can. Thank you. You told me to get better. Thank you. To Doug. When Doug found out that I had the C word, I don't like to use the word cancer, I say the C word. Doug came looking for me. And he found me. First thing he did was give me a hug. He said, Calvin, anything you need, I got you. Doug, thank you. When the word got out that I had the C word in the courthouse, everybody treated me like family. I felt the love, and it was real. Ted, where you at, Ted? When Ted found out I had cancer, Ted wrote me a quote every single day. These are the original papers, some of them. I have a lot. So y'all forgive me, I'm a little nervous. The devil whispered in your ear, you are not strong enough to withstand the storm. You whispered in the devil's ear, I am the storm. Never trust your fears. They don't know your strengths. I'm not telling you it is going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. Mike and Ted came to Philadelphia when my mother died. And I wasn't there yet. I had to go do some last minute things. So one of my sisters fell in love with Mike. She said, Mike is cute. I said, Ted, these glasses. They embraced Ted and Mike. So I got there, Ted and Mike were standing on the steps. We're talking. Mike and Ted said, Calvin, you need anything, we are here. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to tell a real quick story. I'm almost done, everybody. So a friend of mine pulls up in the truck. I always tell the story. Mike don't like the story. I'm going to tell it anyway. So he was unloading stuff out of his car, but he didn't use the back doors. He used the side doors. So I said, hey, man, why don't you use the back door? I don't know how to open it. Oh, my God. Why did he say that in front of Mike? Mike walked down to the truck, pushed the guy aside, and in about 5 seconds, had your door open, and the thing went up. This guy jumping up and down in the streets of Philadelphia said, Lord, don't let Mike think that everybody in Philly is crazy. But that's how Mike is. It took him 5 seconds to open that door. Mike, you're an incredible guy, man. Love you, bro. My shenanigans. We won the Super Bowl 2018. Mike gave me Monday off because it's my birthday. I decided I want to do the James Brown in the lobby. I called the news people. I was dressed up like a Philadelphia Eagle. I put the speaker up and I commenced doing the James Brown. Everybody was on the balcony and everything. Oh, I got on the news to interview me. So Tuesday, I get a call from Mike. Calvin, come see me. When you go in Mike's office and he shut the door, it's not good. If Mike comes in the office, leave the door open, you're safe. First thing that came out of Mike's mouth, he said, Calvin, I get it. But what if a civilian came in and did what you do? What would you have done? I would have put him out, Mike. Exactly. So Mike got a way of reprimanding you, and you still come out with a smile on your face. That's a skill, Mike. Outstanding. But I got away with it. I still have a job. But every now and then I got right? Every now and then I'm in a really, really good one. I'm in the lobby. I'll cut my leg like this. Air Force, military would say, Cal, you know you can't dance. Not in the lobby. Mike, again, thank you. my wife, my partner, my best friend, my world, my true love. I thank God for you every day. Through sickness and health, you were there every step of the way. Always by my sick bed whispering, Calvin, you're going to beat this thing. Kathy, you are my strength and my treasure. To my daughter, Joy, congratulations, 4.0 college. If I missed anyone, please forgive me. I'm a little nervous, but this is a family. La familia. You can't beat it. If one of us down, we all are down. And I love being part of this team. Council, thank you for allowing me this time to say what I have to say. I love this family. That's why I can't leave totally. Thank you, and thank you. This is 204, signing off.
At this time, anybody want to say a few words? Anybody?
I must say, for someone who doesn't like to talk,
I would just like to say on behalf of my husband, it has been so heartfelt for me as his wife to meet each and every one of you. You've been super, super splendid, very supportive, and I sincerely appreciate it. And Mike, you just never the boss. You were strength, you were said. I thank you for helping me out. Sometimes it's hard when you have no family here, so I really appreciate it. And trying to get 3 kids to, I'm trying, this is the last one, thank God. So I'm really extremely appreciative. And Calvin, you know I love you and adore you. I asked you to marry me when I was 5. And the love still exists. So you all have a nice day.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Calvin, well, I'm going to miss you at 8:15 in the mornings when you do the pledge. And anybody that's passing through that area in that time of the morning, it's a great time to not only pay respect to each other, but to the United States of America when you call everybody to attention to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. But what I saw out of that was the respect that you have from the people that you work with. And I'm over on the side, I can see it all. And thank you. Thank you for what you've done here, and best wishes in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to say the same thing, Calvin. Thanks for your years of service in both or before both retirements. This world would be a lot better place if we had more people like you.
I think there's been a lot that's been said today that there's nothing I could top any more than you yourself.
Calvin, with everything that goes wrong in today's world, it's so easy for us all to say we're having a bad day. I'd just like to echo what everybody said here today is if you had a bad day, it never appeared that way. It was always, the sunshine was always shining. We all have to do that. We all need to do that. And people like you would make this country a better place. So, Calvin, one of the people I've admired since I've gotten here and since you've came on board is you. I always say, we're all co-employees, and if we can become friends during our process of being co-employees, we've hit the ball out of the park, right? And I can tell you, between you and I, that ball is way over. It's outside the stadium. So thank you for dedicating your years here to the Berkeley County Government Council. And I only wish you and your family the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
At this time, we'll take a break for photos. Everybody will be here. All right, we're back in session. Next item on our budget, on our agenda will be to go over the budget with all elected and department heads for 2022-23 budget requests and allocations. So at this time, we'll all move down front and get started.
Can you see, Doug? Can you see now, Doug? Can you see?
Yeah, I'll see. I'll be all right. Since I got the right glasses. All right. First of all, I'd just like to thank everybody for being here. And as we discussed in our budget workshops, the county council is always proud of getting the budget done in a very timely manner. As Mr. Davis says, that we're always leading the state of West Virginia and getting our budget in. But not only are we happy with what work we do, but I'm proud to say that we're happy with each elected official and department head. It takes a team to do what we do every year. I think that each and every one of you have always done a wonderful job on, asking for what you need rather than what you want. And that the county council acknowledges that, and we want to thank you for doing that. So I'll get started with the previous. All right. The one thing we'll go over the personnel that each department head and elected official submitted is actually locked at the beginning of the year, which we've done that about 4 years ago, Alan? 5,
Yes, sir.
maybe longer. Because everybody would always put what they would like to see and what they, and then it all boiled down to what we could afford. So we started locking in the personnel. But all the numbers in red here on the personnel is up to date. So the raise that we gave last year, any new positions and anything like that is there. If you, like I said, new staffing is there as well. Any others in the operating side that's in red? Those are things that we have no choice. They are written in stone pretty much because we have to pay those bills regardless. So let's get started. First one is the county council's budget. Personnel of $1,301,892. Operating of $369,677. Total is $1,671,569. Mr. Davis, you okay with that number?
Yes, sir, and that is reflective of no increase in operating. That's all. The operating is flat.
Okay. And Gary, just real quick, the the total and the consensus is the same on whichever. All right, next is the county clerk, Ms. Malk. Personnel, $965,735. Operating, $127. Total, $1,092,735. You okay with that, Ms. Malk?
Yes, sir.
Circuit clerk, Ms. Sign. Pleasure to always see you. Personnel, $1,110,711. Operating, $40,000. Total, $1,150,711. Ms. Sign, are you okay with that? Ms. Sign, I'm sad to say that I know you're going to miss this process.
You can come visit Virginia.
The Sheriff's Tax Office, $770,343 on the personnel, $3,000 in operating, $773,343 is the total. Chief, you're here for the sheriff. You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
As you know, too, let me go back a little bit. And I'm going to say this with great pride and great respect to each and every one of our employees. Probably over the last 8 years, we've made some adjustments and realignments and all kinds of things. We've changed the work week from a 35-hour to a 40-hour work week. And if my memory serves me correctly, that's about a 14% increase in pay because of additional hours being willing to work. So now we became, you could honestly compare us to the general, the public itself, the private side. But over those times, with that in consideration, I'm just going to guess, and I didn't ask Mr. Davis to run the number, but we have brought in our personnel, our salaries, probably up about 40%. And that's a lot of hard work from the council and Mr. Davis. A lot of times people reorganize in their office to be able to be more productive and save money. We're always appreciative of that. And I can tell you there was one year that we did that, and I was really, really nervous because it came with a $2 million price tag. Doesn't seem like somebody sits there and says, hey, we got a $1,000 increase, but you don't realize that's a $500,000 in this council. So, I hope that all of our employees and have recognized that, and we've came a long way in a short period.
Mr. President, I think it's important to note that with the changes that the council has approved for the current fiscal year, as well as the 10%, just those changes alone increased personnel by $2.4 million for the current fiscal year.
Right. Yeah, it's a big number.
This is the biggest this current year is the biggest increase we've ever incurred.
Yes. Thank you.
That was actually a pretty big, the whole process was pretty big for us to be able to accomplish, because if you remember, at one point, we had several full-time employees that were in the poverty level of pay, working for the county.
Yeah. Well, we're working really hard on that. Next is the prosecuting attorney. Katie, we've valued our relationship over the years. You and your office is doing tremendous work, and we appreciate everything that you're doing. We have your personnel is at $2,302,061. Operating is $59,400. Your total is $2,361,461. The consensus is different there, so I think we must have, I'm wrong. It looks like the consensus is $2,365,000.
So just to clarify, we said at the beginning what's in red is what we're currently at. So does that, is that my budget as it is right now, or does that include?
That's your budget as it is now with all the positions.
Your personnel.
We,
Okay.
That's your staffing as it stands this very moment.
we did put money in contingencies, and I'll get down to that right now, so I don't have to jump in with you. We did put money in contingencies, for the prosecuting attorney's office for 2 new positions at $140,133.
That's the APA and the legal assistant that you requested. So it's not reflective in that number there, but as we get down to 699, it is reflected there. And we'll do this year that we did, same as we did last year, is when we do the state budget revision for July, that money will be moved into 405.
Okay,
Okay, but they did approve the 2 full-time positions you requested.
perfect, thank you very much.
And I know some of you put in there for pay raises for your employees. I don't have to remind you, but generally every year, if we're able to do that, we generally do it after the unencumbered fund balance comes in July. So, right now, we're working off of a projected unencumbered fund balance. The assessor, which is here,
Just if you could, Mr. President, your operating budget, they actually bumped your operating budget up just a little bit, knowing that with the 2 new positions, you may need a little bit more. So when you look at your operating side, you actually are getting a couple $1,000s more than what you had requested. You had cut $150 out. They put that $150 cut out back in plus a little bit more.
only because your personnel's growing, so we figured you probably would need more. The assessor's office, personnel is $998,466, operating $35,450. Total budget is $1,033,916. Mr. Hess, you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Statewide computer network, written in stone, $200,000. That's something that we have to pay the state of West Virginia. Sheriff's tax processing. This is one, Chief, that I've 3 years ago. We're in the recession, and I was sitting there saying, well, hopefully people's not going to go to foreclosure. I was wrong with that. That number's been there. So has no personnel. There's no employees in that department, but we are funding the operating at $222,000 this year. Fiduciary will personnel $294,439, operating $8,810, total $300,789. And we're going off the consensus in case anybody's wondering. Any questions, Will?
No.
Ag agent, personnel, $106,563, operating $16,000, total $120,610. I'm going off the consensus.
The consensus is what you approved.
That's what you approved.
Well, then I can't go with personnel.
Well, the personnel is what is the fund. The operating is what was requested for the total. If there's a difference between the total and the consensus, it's because you've made some changes to the operating.
So the operating is what was requested. I didn't know that. Sorry. Sorry for the confusion. County clerk election, $400,955 for personnel. Operating that was requested was $324,500. The total is $630,455. That makes sense. Ms. Malkin and I, we met, we discussed this. It's all about the primary and the general elections. Ms. Malk, you're okay with that, right?
As long as I can be covered if it goes over. Just do the best I can with it.
Well, we'll absolutely do what needs to be done. All right, Magistrate Court, $75,000 is the pass-through. Circuit Court Security. Personnel, $1,511,764. Operating that was requested was $26,700. The total is $1,538,464. Mike, you all right with that? Yes, sir. Custodial and building maintenance. Personnel, $852,845. Requested $50,000 in operating. The consensus is $892,845. Jack, you okay with that? Yeah.
And Mr. President, the council did approve the part-time custodian which is a floating custodian for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's to deal primarily with the 24/7 buildings.
All right, back to Ms. Malk, Silver Service, requested $15,000 in operating. The consensus is $15,000. And Ms. Malk and Chief Young, we're in the prior years, that $15,000 is usually used in contractor service for legal matters. Now it seems like it's being used for recruiting. So if I had a hat on, my hat goes off to you, Chief, and everyone for making that change. It's well recognized, and we appreciate everything that's happening over there. Ms. Malk, you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Insurance program. This is something that you don't know. All the moving parts behind the scenes. And I'm sorry, I'm probably getting a little bit long-winded, but I think it's deserving to say what I have to say. Our insurance bill, Mr. Davis, is a little bit under about $2.8 million. Is that correct?
All inclusive, yes, sir. That's just health, dental, so on and so forth.
So our insurance is $2.8 million. Last year, you was approached and saying that there was going to be about a 14% increase.
A little bit more, yes, sir.
All right, and this year it was another 14%.
Yes, sir.
Last year, Mr. Davis negotiated and worked with our insurance carrier to a zero last year.
Yes, sir.
If I remember correctly.
Last 2 years.
I'm getting to this year.
Okay. Well, the two previous years.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. All right. And then this year, the conversation started out the same way. And not only does that affect ours, but it also affects the contributions from others. And he feels confident that he's not going to need any additional funds put to the side to adjust for another 14% increase. So if you take that, you got to think that it's about $500,000, actually about $700,000 that has been saved over the last just 2 years alone on Mr. Davis's ability to negotiate and get the Blue Cross and Blue Shield to understand our position. So thank you, Mr. Davis. Courthouse. This is an account that everybody uses. It's liability insurance. It's postage. It's our fuel bills and everything else. We're all worried about the fuel. Where's it going to go? And we have how many vehicles now, Mr. Wine? We have 160 vehicles out on the road every day, and so the courthouse account is operating, was requested at $3,481,000, and the consensus was $3,481,000.
And a third of that is just our property casualty premium, workers' comp, auto, liability.
And that's one thing that I want to thank everyone for doing too. The workers' comp has came down. We've increased our employee number, but our workers' comp has came down 12% this year.
Yes, sir, it's down to 1.4, it's proposed to be 1.4, the rate modification factor 1.43.
So it came down on the rate, and actually the only thing is we're not seeing any savings because of the increase of employees. Other buildings, that's our bond payments, or lease payments, I should say, to the building commission. If we don't make those, then we're kicked out on the street, and the sheriff will close our doors. So that's $3,335,000 to cover our bonds that we have. IT, Mr. Wine, as you know, everybody in this room, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Mr. Wine and his department. His personnel is $1,331,309. His operating was requested at $1,418,000. His total budget, as a consensus, is $2,749,309. You okay with that, Mr. Wine?
Yes, sir, thank you.
And Mr. Wine, one of the things that I want to bring to attention with Mr. Wine is, and his department is, one of the things that has happened historically over the years is not only does he service anything in the government, but he also does outside agencies and other agencies work to help them and actually start tying the IT stuff together somewhat wherever it can be tied together. Meaning like him and his team worked with the city of Martinsburg on their new police station. And there's some things there that actually is beneficial for everyone, and things of that nature. But with that said, one of the things that we requested was to make sure that we start billing for those services below market value, but bill for them because his department is growing all the time. Miss Malk and I don't understand why IT's got to grow. You know, I know that I'd still probably rather do it on paper and pen. But unfortunately, that's the way we're going. Everyone knows that Mr. Wine does a wonderful job and his department does a wonderful job. So a long story short, you build out about almost $800,000 last year. All right. So when you see him out there, it doesn't come without some type of funding coming back to us.
So since you're long-winded anyway, can you go back to other buildings and elaborate a little bit on what the council's done to keep that?
Yes, sir.
Work to keep that number.
I can.
And you've been a huge part of that.
Well, the other buildings, we have worked for on this for over 11 years now. And I can remember one of the first conversations I had with somebody here in the council was with the Kimco property, which is the sheriff's department. You know, we need to refinance that. And I was told that that's the best rate we're going to get. I asked about our credit rating. Well, we're the highest credit rating. We're at the highest level credit rating that we can have. I said, no, we can do better. So not only did we refinance Kimco property once, but we refinanced it twice. We've increased our credit rating by 1 point, and the building commission improved theirs by 2. Now you may say, why is that so important? That's why we can borrow money for less than 2%. Right? I mean, you're talking millions of dollars, less than 2%. That's why we have new cars and we finance them, so we can get them on a rotation because, Chief, it used to be, I talked about the sheriff's because that's where the largest amount of cars are, vehicles. Used to be the county council, when we first got here, if we had money, we bought the vehicles, right? But we wouldn't know that until after the unencumbered fund balance came in. Now, with the advice and the hard work that Mr. Davis and Mr. Wine puts in, every vehicle we have is on a 5-year rotation, right? So our fleet is up and running very well. I'm also proud to say that one of the bonds that we just renegotiated, I think Mr. Davis had knocked 3 years off of it to 4. It was a staggered bond. It was for the judicial center, so Ms. Sign has a place to go to in the mornings. That whole complex, let me get my math straight. So 2030 or 31, that whole complex will be paid off because we accelerated the payments. 2029. Okay, my math is off. But that comes with a lot of, and we're saving money on our payment.
And our last, we were able to lock in our last bond issue of 1.44, which is the lowest we've ever done.
So you can see that and that goes on. That's just for every project we have going on.
Every one of the bonds have been looked at and refinanced if possible.
Yeah.
At
Any-
lower rate.
Any questions from anybody on that? You want to add anything, Dan, or anybody else?
I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that.
Region Development Authority, Region 9. Operating request was $69,793. We funded at $69,793. This will do the airport. The airport requested $275,000. The consensus was $275,000, and that will be coming out of it's in this budget, but it's our coal severance tax. The one thing that I want to, you may ask, why is the airport getting $275,000? And I had this discussion with Dan because I figured we'd start we gave money to build a bridge because we believe in Neil and Nick, and so we've given them money over the last couple of years. And I told Dan, I said we need to start scaling it back, and Dan says, no, we don't, and I'll tell you why. About, I don't know, I'm gonna say 6 years ago, their total budget was $280,000. 7 years ago. Their total budget today is $2.5 million. They'll probably be at $3.5 million next year, or by the end of this year, probably. So that's what we do. We've done that with the Development Authority over the years, to the point where it was one day that they couldn't even make payroll. We didn't bridge money for them. We gave them money year after year after year after year. But we want them to become self-sustainable. The airport's going to be self-sustainable very, very quickly. But we want them to keep growing, because if you give them $275,000, they come back with a $2.5 million budget, and they've increased their budget by $2.3 million. One day that's going to pay huge dividends for us. So I just wanted to explain that.
And they're continuing to grow. I mean, there's steady conversation now about creating a whole school out there to be able to have an educational facility out there as well. So, not only do they own the FBO and the two largest hangars on the airport now, and the fuel farm, and operate all of them very well. They've been able to continue to grow and move forward.
All right. Building inspections, Brian Ross. Personnel $712,611. Operating $14,100. The consensus is $726,711. Mr. Ross, you okay with that? Planning and zoning, $272,547 in personnel, requested $36,700. Total consensus is $309,247. You okay with that, Mr. Ross? And I'd like to also recognize him, because he can throw anything at him and he'll take it and run with it. And, just so everyone knows, that building and planning and inspections and engineering is doing more work than what they did when we peaked at one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, at one of the top 25, and they're doing it with about the same staff and about the same funding. Engineering personnel $660,329, requested $20,400 in operating. The consensus is $680,729. Mr. Ross, you okay with that one?
Mr. President, if I can point out, the planning department's budget is actually $2,213 less next year than it is this year. And when you combine those three departments, building, inspections, planning, and engineering, and all three of those departments charge fees based on the current activity, they are self-sustaining. In fact, they generate more revenue than these three expenditures combined are total.
Yeah, and as Mr. Davis said, just recently in the last 2 months, maybe 3 months at most, that whole, those two departments was combined to run it more efficient and let it flow easier. All right. Next is law enforcement, 700. Personnel, 5,469,461. That's with the 66 deputies on the street. Operating was requested at 559,922. The consensus is 5,939,961. Chief, you okay with that?
Yes. Mr. President, I also want to point out that you
right.
personnel and contingency, please.
Yes. Yep, I'm gonna get to that. Thank you, though. Law enforcement, I know that the sheriff chief asked for 4. We had money as we got through these contingencies and stuff. We had money for 1. You just got 4 just recently, and that's fully outfitted at $160,000. So, and what we mean by that is the uniforms, the outfitting for the deputy itself, the police cruiser, for the first year, outfitting the police cruiser with radio and everything. So, and there was a lot of discussion on 700. So that 160,000 will be split up between the central garage, purchase the vehicles and stuff like that, and the 700 account. So, if I'm not mistaken, we even took, I know we talked about it, we took the operating budget divided by 66 people and we added some for that as well.
You actually have another line for, under there for law enforcement, for the deputies.
Yes. All right, so the overtime for 4 new deputies, chief, what we did was, I know that was a big number for the sheriff. I know he's working really, really hard for other ways to do this. So what we did was, one of the things we did was take 4 new deputies that you had last year. We divided the operating budget by, or the overtime budget by 62 and multiplied it by 66, which will add $15,000 more to the overtime. That's how we got that number. So just wanted to let you know how we got that. And I was just on the phone with Delegate Hardy. I was on the phone with Summer Barrett. I was on the phone with the sheriff. So we're all working in the same direction to try to get overall law enforcement up in numbers in Berkeley County. It's not the Tri-County area. You're okay with all those? I mean, I know you're probably not okay, but can you live with that?
Yes.
Thank you. Service of process is all employee driven, and it is 570,549. You okay with that?
Yes.
Regional jail. Well, how can I talk about this one? Regional jail, the whole team. Katie, you've done a wonderful job in your staff. I'm gonna start there. Sheriff's Department is doing a wonderful job on the enforcement side. Tim Zaya is director of a lot of things these days. A day report center, home confinement. Just does a wonderful job. The judges, the magistrates, the Miss Sign, everybody involved, just unbelievable what work they've done. We're seeing an uptick in our regional jail bill, which is understandable. The consensus was this year to do $3.5 million. We're not real sure where they were going to go with in legislation, so we put that in there just to be on the safe side. Home confinement personnel is $319,203. Operating that was requested was $172,000. Total is $491,203. Home confinement, I know one of the things why the operating went up was because of the monitoring bracelets and the sheer volume of meetings. Is that correct? You okay with that, sir? The police special deputies, $5,000 was requested. We funded them $5,000. Okay with that, Chief? Yes, sir. And Mr. Wine, I guess he'll be catching up to you and the sheriff about an idea to try to update that fleet site. Just in the discussion part of it right now. Emergency services. Brandy, you've done a wonderful job. I want to thank you for that. Seems like we're just moving forward and doing anything and everything we can do to help people, but we're very cautious about what we do. Personnel is $2,018,263. Operating, we requested $171,975. The consensus is $2,126,018. That's far short on the operating side than what was requested. I know you and Mr. Davis had a conversation. One of the things that we was on the operating side was try to get a second set of gear for every paid firefighter we have. For, as Mr. Gokenauer will say, it's because of cancer. Secondhand focus on the uniform. In the old days, and I'm sure Eddie was one of those. There he is. You just the dirtiest gear you had, you were the baddest guy or woman out there, and that's not the way we think today. So we weren't able to do all of them, but what we did was Randy was able to let us know who had second gear through the volunteers. So what this will do, we'll buy you a second set of gear for the ones that aren't volunteer firefighters. And I know the volunteer fire departments and the fire board would be more than willing to work with that. You okay with that, Mr. Lowe?
Yes.
And the other stuff on operating, we feel that our grant department has a good chance of getting some grant money. Communication Center, Jennifer. That's the $300,000 we give to you every year for non-emergency phone calls. And thank you for doing what you do. Your department is being recognized on quality all the time, and it comes from the hard work that you and your department is doing, and the cooperation. So thank you for doing it. You okay with that?
Yes.
Animal control, chief. Personnel is $329,434. The operating was $13,810. The total is $343,244. Is the consensus. You also asked for a part-time kennel person. We did put that money in contingency for $18,353. You also asked for some additional pay for current staff. We're not there yet, but I do have a thought process that just Tim kind of set some bells off this morning for me on that. We'll be more glad to sit down and talk to you and the sheriff about that. You okay with that one?
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna continue to talk to the county about trying to get that whole lot paid. I've been talking about it for a couple of years and it hasn't happened, so I just thought I'd mention it.
He talks to you better than he does me because it's not that polite. Central Garage, personnel, 63,613. Operating at 216,257 is requested. The consensus was 279,870. Mr. Wine, you asked for an additional staff member there. Currently, right now, you only have one there, and that is their. That person is running their legs off like crazy. We want to make sure that we get our vehicles repaired in a timely manner. You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Day report center. Alternative sentencing. Personnel, $2,008,237 is operating requested at $420,300. His total budget is now consists of $2,678,537. Now, if you do your quick math, you're going to say, whoa, he gets more money than he asked for. And I'm sure Ken thought that too when he seen it, but unfortunately, we're going to charge him rent. So his budget grew on operating by $250,000. We're going to charge him $250,000 because with the help of everybody, Tim's department, that's a big number. We're looking at that department to be in the black next year. So, and actually, it's hard to go after grants when you're in the black. We got to be together. So thank you, Tim, for your staff. And we want to put pressure on him that he's going to have to keep growing the budget and balance his budget too. You okay with that, Mr. Zai?
Yes, sir.
Recovery services. This is another thing that we started back years ago. They are pretty much balanced except for the director, right? All other positions are grant funded. So I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. You know, we've grown a lot in the recovery services in the last 10 years or so once Tim got on board. I just think it's very important to know that when you see those services, it's coming at very, very little cost to the taxpayers, but it's changing everybody's lives. Changing not only the one that's an addict, but it's helping their family. Home confinement is letting people work and be a functional parent. We hope the children see the benefit from this, but we know that, you know, our court cases with Mrs. Delgatti, we still have work to do, right? And but I'm very proud of that. And this one was this recovery service was developed so that you didn't have to be a criminal to get help. You could just walk in off the street and say, I'm tired of who I am. I'm tired of living this life. Can you please help me? And that's what they did. I missed mental hygiene. I'm sorry. Tim, you okay with that one?
Yes, sir.
Mental hygiene. Yeah, we have 108 rating. Mr. Davis, that's our account. You okay with that?
It'll be tight, but yes, sir. We'll make it work.
And that's another discussion we're talking to. We're working behind the scenes. I'm trying to find out. And Chief, your department works with these. You're supplying all the transportation, not only one person, but two. And sometimes they get here, they go out, they get back, they have to turn back around and go back, or two sets of deputies is passing on the road. I know the sheriff and I have talked about this, and I hope to make progress on that this year. Parks and Rec, I might as well, even though they're outside agencies, I want to touch base on those. $350,000 in the red. It's in the red. It's not necessarily has to be in the red, but we fund them at 50% of the CV. In the CVB gets 50%, which is written in stone. for the hotel motel tax. I can say that, let me go on back. And then the next one is the Parks Recreational and General Fund. $140,000 requested. We have $140,000 funded there. Parks and Recreation Capital Funds, that means any property that we own, if it has anything on it that has a leaking roof, a bad HVAC, or electrical upgrade, is some of the things we've done recently, is something that we do, and we want to make sure that our assets protected. So we decided to do that. Parks and Rec is something, if you haven't been watching, it's got a fairly new board, doing wonderful things. And one of the things we're trying to do to not only, we talked about in recovery, we talked about in enforcement, but one of the things we found out is that we need to improve the quality of life in Berkeley County. And quality of life will hopefully drive down crime, and especially for the next generation. So Parks and Rec green space is very important to us, and my hat goes off to the board president, Chris Palmer, for doing what he's doing. I was just on the phone with him last night, and he's all excited about new ideas going forward. I'm going to go bounce back up to the health department. The health department asked for $100,000 for operating. We funded them $100,000. We have a great relationship. You know that they have a building that we bought. It was a three-way relationship with hospice. Hospice sold us the building and financed it for 3 years at zero cost. And the director at the time, Bill Kern, said that they would be able to match us dollar for dollar, and that's exactly what we did. So that's another project that worked out very, very well. Library, as I said, CVB, $350,000.
Mr. President, you might want to point out that we are funding them $100,000 this year, but we just received a check for $750,000 from the health department to help with the addition to the building.
Yes, sir.
Which I think is important.
Yeah, so the health department, as you can imagine, with the virus and everything going around and their population growth, they just given us $750,000. Our grant department got $640-some thousand, I believe, plus or minus, from the state of West Virginia. So we're at 1.3 plus that we've got, and the council's funding the rest of that project and paying cash for that addition. CVB, $350,000 is what we're projecting. That's a direct pass-through, so whatever the hotel motel brings in, they get 50% of it. And this year we're projecting that to be about $422,000 in the calendar year that we're in. Libraries written in stone. This number will go up, but right now it's 807,787, and that's where the only county, I think the only county in the state of West Virginia, we're set up legislatively.
The state that has that special act that requires mandatory funding based on your tax collections.
All right. I'm just going over some of the ones that are directly related to us in a sense. Senior Services asked for $70,000. We're funding them $37,600. That's our building. Our job to maintain that building, and we've done about $1 million worth of work on that building in the last year and a half. Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority, $150,000. We're funding them $60,000. Our payments on our vehicles. This is our vehicle payment. $800,000 was requested. We went to $1 million, only because we have a thought process that we want to. One of the things that happened to us, and no disrespect to anybody, is that when we started this program, we basically said that, okay, we're going to put every vehicle we have on a 5-year rotation. We'll look at it and evaluate it. Unfortunately, we didn't put in anything of insurance claims or accidents that actually takes that building out, or that vehicle out of commission or its total. So not only do we, correct me if I'm wrong on this, not only do we have the vehicle payments in here, but we also have vehicle that we have to purchase straight out.
Yeah, our vehicle payments annualized for next fiscal year is slightly less than $680,000. We know we have some vehicles, and we're actually, February of 2023 will be the end of our first 5-year cycle. So we've identified some vehicles already that need to be replaced that we're going to try to pay cash for. And knowing that the price of vehicles has gone up substantially over the past year is the reason you built that little extra buffer in there. Which I think
Plus
is
the growth of the fleet.
correct.
Because the fleet's grown in, the conversation about trying to, come up with some type of plan to change the fleet on the reserves.
Right, the plan, chief, that's what we was thinking about. Mr. Wine came up with an idea. The engineering your vehicle's about ready to come up on the 5-year cycle, but they're still good vehicles. They're painted white. Mr. Wine said, why don't we outfit them and get them to the reserve and replace his? So,
I know you've been talking about different operations, different options for reserve vehicles.
we're working on that. We're very much appreciating what they do. And some of their Crown Vics is pretty darn old. We can't.
All around that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I'm so sure we still get parts, but sometimes it's to the point, is it worthy to put parts on? Capital other buildings. This is our account that we use to maintain how many square feet of building we have now? 800 some thousand, probably. $500,000 to do that isn't much money. So that's what we're doing. And any big improvements that we're doing, we're trying to pay for that as we go. And so our total budget this year is personnel is $24,937,504. Total with the operating in the personnel is $44,803,118. So I know in the past 11 years, and I'm proud to say this, and as a politician, most people will never mention this. I think this county is running very, very efficiently, but the budget's grown by 20 million. And but I think we're doing more today than what we've ever done with the money we have. And in the last 11 years, we've grown probably by 30-some thousand people. So, again, anybody have any questions or statements?
Mr. President, I think it's just important to point out that when you adopted the budget last year at this time, the budget that was adopted, submitted to the state and approved was $39,082,875. So this proposed budget, and we'll have to tweak it a little bit based on the library funding, is as it stands now is $5,720,243. So this is our biggest budget that we've had, probably the biggest increase from one fiscal year to the next that I can remember.
Well, and I fight for it every day. That's why I'm probably going bald and be looking like Mr. Wine and Mr. Davis here before long, because I can't use gray hair because I started getting gray when I was 19. The other thing I failed to do, day report center personnel, $8,795. That was the reclassification of the 2 positions, and the miscellaneous. So what we have to work with out of $44,883,118, this council has $237,160 remaining in contingency as the unencumbered fund balance stands today. Now, the only other thing that we have to do is remember that we don't have certified numbers yet. So, which means how can we set revenue, how can we set expenditures and not have certified values on our tax base? We feel we're okay, and hopefully those numbers come in where we projected or close, plus or minus where we projected. Anybody have anything to say or add?
We also have two large building projects that next year, this time we'll be into. That's the addition to the health department, which the design is almost completed to the point we can present it to the council for discussion and hopefully approval. The other big building project, as everyone knows, is the master reuse of this building. Both projects, right now, we're aligned to be able to pay cash, with hopefully no unforeseen hiccups along the way.
And most of the time, when you see these projects in cases, is the day report center came in a little over $3 million. We always said that when we've done the recovery side of it, we just hope to be able to change people's lives, right? But with the help of everybody involved, that building, and I guess Mrs. Delegati, you could probably say this more than anybody with knowing, there's no reason with the population growth that we have and everything that's going on in our regional jail bill, instead of being $2.2 million last year, there's no reason it probably shouldn't have been $5.2 million. With that said, that's how we pay for these things. We're very creative with how can we change people's lives and how can we change the way we do business and save money at the same time. Any building project that we do, Mr. Wang, you know, we changed the bowler on the Judicial Center. We changed the bowler here at the Nunn Building. It used to be that the Judicial Center would operate either at 0 BTUs or 8 BTUs. Doesn't matter. It didn't matter whether one room had to be heated or the whole judicial branch had to be heated. 8 million BTUs at one time. With the design on the boilers now, it's 400,000, right? Minimum. And a lot of times that will run off of 400,000. You see the new chiller plant here. So we either give the money to the power company or the gas company, or we keep it here. And with these projects you see like that, will pay for themselves in 7 years. 7 years. So now we're looking at the Judicial Center. HVAC's got a 20-year time frame on it right now. Almost 17, I'm sorry. You know, the lighting is absorbing all the electric. How can we make it more efficient? We can change out the HVAC and we can change out the lighting and save hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And that project will pay for itself within 7 years.
That's how far we look into the detail. The chillers actually use electricity in the middle of the night to stop to make the ice to chill during the day when the electric costs more money. So we save money by producing the ice in the middle of the night for the chiller.
Sure.
Yeah, it's all about the detail.
Yeah, it keeps us real cold. Yeah. Thank you once again. Have a good day.
Thank you, Doug.
Got names on it.
Yes, sir.
on break.
Oh,
You're gonna have to do that all again.
Mr. President, I move to go into executive session.
Second.
we're gonna go in executive session for legal matters. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. We are in executive session. That's one. Oh my God. All right, we're out of executive session. No action will be needed. Mr. Barnhart, if you do the honors.
Well, Mr. President, I'd like to do the honors of getting us out on the meeting,
Session.
recess.
All right, we are recessed.
You thought that.